Hey, this is your cotton-picking, snuff-dipping, tobacco-chewing, stumping-jumping, gravy-sopping, coffee-pot dodging, dumpling-eating hillbilly from Hill County, Willie Nelson.
American farmers are losing their farms at a frightening rate. For generations, this land and the occupations that it provided were handed down from father to son. And over the years, laws passed by legislators have eroded this heritage. The government and our nation's banking system are slowly becoming this country's sole farm owners. So in order to turn the tide, the American farmer needs a successful cash crop. Now, hemp is a plant that's proven to be versatile in creating over 50,000 products, from cloth and paper to fuel and medicine. And when prohibition was leveled against liquor, it was still legal to grow corn and grapes for other purposes. Now, this should be true of hemp. Return our roots to America and help re-legalize hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Grow an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp. Throughout Earth's history, hemp's been used, no mystery. Hemp is legal to pay your taxes for more than a century. Check your faxes, the founding fathers made sense to me. It's time to grow hemp legally. It's time to grow hemp legally. It's time to grow hemp legally. Think of all the uses, it's money that's well spent. Right now, no excuses, it's time for hemp. Sustainable green industry, that's our intent. A better place this world will be, it's time for hemp. Fuel and food and clothes and soap, housing, cars, yeah, cars, no joke. Henry Ford built a car of hemp. It's time for us to do it again. People be employed, balanced farming as it's meant. Right now, it's time for hemp. Hemp is the first necessity of wealth and protection of the country. Words of Jefferson Thomas. He grew hemp, why not us? It's time to lift the hemp ban. It's time to lift the hemp ban. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. You can make a difference. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Look at all that money. Yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, it's time for hemp. Yeah.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the big broadcast today just a little bit earlier. In fact, this is a 2-hour special presentation. Two hours of conversation that we would like to eventually make it to the ears of all the leaders in the world. Time for Hemp is taking very seriously today's conversation, and we are putting together a great panel of people with some great moderators to bring forward this information that is so important that we think that the whole world needs to learn about the importance of ending prohibition. On the program today, we'll be having Paul Stanford joining us as one of our moderators. Everybody knows Paul. He's been with the program for a long time, and He's also one of the founding fathers of the marijuana movement. And people have been listening and learning from Paul for a long, long time. But we've also got another great activist as well who'll be acting as a moderator. And her name is Anndrea Hermann. And Anndrea, I'm going to let you introduce our panel as they come on today.
All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the first of 5 great global cannabis summits we're having here. And thanks to Casper and all the American Free Radio team for bringing us together. I'm having the pleasure today of sitting up in the Asheville Parkland region of Manitoba with Chris Federowich. Chris Federowich is with Federowich Farms and is the vice president of the Parkland Industrial Hemp Growers. Chris is a third-generation farmer and second-generation hemp producer, and alongside his mother, they cultivate 7,000 acres of mixed grain and special crops in Manitoba. Federowich Farms is a founding member of the Parkland Industrial Hemp Growers Co-op, and I spent 7 summers up here with the Federowiches working on my initial hemp research, so this is my old stomping ground, so it's great to have a good excuse to come up here and visit. Federowich Farms is one of the first and largest hemp growers in Canada. They're pedigreed seed growers. They're also members of the Canadian Seed Growers Association. They've held board seats with the Seed Buckthorn Association, Hemp Trade Alliance, and also was awarded a Conservation Farm Family of the Year. Chris is following in his lead of his late father, Joey, and, continuing to educate people about the cultivation of industrial hemp. So I'd like to welcome Chris Federowich to the program this morning.
Thanks, Anndrea.
All right. So, what were we talking about with Chris? We're going to talk about some basic farming. So, Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Parkland Industrial Hemp Growers are?
The Parkland Industrial Hemp Growers basically is a board, a cooperative, actually. We started off basically with starting a seed growing type of situation. We have our producer group, I guess, or a group of guys who grow different seed varieties for us, including myself. So that's a big thing, obviously. We're working on different seed varieties to accommodate the people who are processing grain at this point in time, the people who are in food development companies, in the food development industry. So we basically initially wanted to be growing seed varieties specifically for them. So we have a breeders group and a breeding program. So what we want to do, obviously, is supply food processing facilities with the grain that they're looking for.
And some of those great qualities that you're breeding for would be looking at those essential fatty acid profile, the gamma-linolenic, and also looking at seed size.
Absolutely. GLA is a big thing. People want high GLA content. Taste is a big thing. So, it doesn't matter how big the seed is or what it yields, it has to taste good. So that's what we're kind of basing our work on. Also, and down the pipeline is becoming, a disease-resistant type of situation also for seed varieties. We want it to be a high-yielding variety, obviously, for farmers to want to purchase the seed. There's obviously GLA content, there is seed size, there is taste for the people who are developing food products with the seed, but yet also you have to have yield, you have to have, some disease resistance built into some of the seed for farmers to want to use their product.
Yeah, so that leads us into the concept of looking at, what is a pedigreed seed grower. So now we understand that the Parkland Industrial Hemp Growers is a co-op. You're involved in breeding programs and working with your producer groups on developing those. And what is the relationship when it comes to, now you've got it, now you're starting to do the seed breeding, and what's the relationship that brings in when you start working with, like, ag extension offices?
As far as that is concerned, we do the best we can to work with, obviously, Manitoba government as far as extension offices are concerned, to get the most possible that we can as a cooperative, from them to make our job a success. And off that is basically working with every other hemp company that's out there. We have a website that's just getting rebuilt at this point in time. So people that are in the business of hemp, we want them to come to us. We want to sell them hemp seed. We want them to look at our hemp seed, look at our varieties, see if that's what they want. We are, we're developing varieties that give a lot of people more yield, more bang for their buck, basically. Great tasting nuts, high GLA content. And when it comes to processing, basically what you want to do is dehull hemp and get the most yield out of that. You take so much hemp per pound as far as off my fill is concerned cleaned, and you want to have as much as possible dehulled nut from a pound of hemp. So, those percentages, whether it be 5%, 10%, 15% more as opposed to before, is more money in the processor's pocket, more money in the food developer's pocket. So that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, when it comes to farming, we are talking about, what is our farm gate. So let's just switch, because we have a bit of idea about what the Parkland Industrial Hemp grows. Now let's talk about some basic agronomics. So can you share with us some bits about, what would be fertilizer, land preparation, machine requirements?
I mean, it's not rocket science to grow hemp. I mean, obviously it doesn't like its feet wet. I've grown plenty of different varieties of plenty of different commodities on my farm my whole life. When it comes down to it, at the end, it's all about conditions. It's all about a bit of a growing season. If you get any type of growing season, you'll have a great crop. It doesn't matter. The seed variety, I guess, is important supposedly, obviously, but you get your seed. It's germed at a certain percentage. You put it in the ground. If it's high moisture, any moisture in the ground, you're going to put it in a half an inch. You're basically going to use the same ergonomics as you would to grow wheat. And, you're going to get the same result type of situation. You don't want to obviously over-fertilize or anything like that, but use the same practices as you would to grow wheat as far as fertility is concerned, in 46 and phosphate and stuff like that. But it's the science is in, or I guess the hard part is getting off the field.
And so when you're talking about getting it off the field, so once it goes in, those are all going in with machines that you have right here on the farm and any various types of feeding equipment. You talked about the fertility being close to wheat and the dominant being making sure that you're getting enough nitrogen in there because it is nitrogen. So what is, one of the things you talked about in the breeding program that you're working for is disease resistance. What are some of the diseases that you have seen in the field?
Well, we're seeing Fiorentina in hemp. We're seeing Aster yellow in hemp. You use the same economics to grow hemp as you would wheat, but we're seeing the same disease characteristics as we are in canola, especially last season where we had a big hit of Fiorentina and a big hit of Aster yellow. And you're seeing those same things, the same diseases that would affect canola as you would to affect hemp. It's an oil crop, so it's a pollinating crop. It takes up that kind of situation. So you got to watch out for stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing really you can do at this point in time. There's no registered fungicides for hemp or anything like that. But, as a conventional farmer, we're hoping to see some of these things come in the pipeline. Basically, farmers want to grow hemp. If they're going to grow hemp, they want to make sure that's going to happen. They want to get everything that they possibly can if it's that type of season to ensure that they have good yield. Because unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's about dollars and cents. And, people that are growing that commodity have to put money in their pocket. There's expenses to be paid, so you want to have that bang for your buck.
And so talking about harvesting, if a producer calls you and says, I'm interested in growing hemp, but I'm concerned about how I'm going to harvest this, what's some basic advice that you could give to a producer when it comes to harvesting and prepping your machines to try to make it easier on you?
Basically, make sure your machines are prepped way post-harvest. Seeding this commodity is just like anything else. Watch your fan speed. You don't want to crack the seed. It's very gentle. You're not doing any seed treatments on the seed, so it's kind of basic as far as putting it down, certain pounds per acre. We're basically running 20 to 25 pounds an acre to get what you're looking for. It doesn't matter what germination the seed is. But the big issue is harvest time, guards on your combine, under your combine, in your combine to make this work. A lot of the brand new combines, as far as John Deere's are concerned and cases are concerned, are can do a good job right out of the box. You have the P2 guards underneath it because it does wrap. It wraps quickly and it does burn quickly. So these are things that you want to have. You want to have your ducks in a row when it comes to harvest, because if you jump into it, it could become a big issue, especially with older combines. You're on old Case A 2188, 1688, and there is a large volume of modifications of these combines. And I just suggest to farmers that if they're getting into it, make sure you have your harvesting equipment, the way it should be, because if you don't and you walk into a hemp field, guys have destroyed combines before, written combines off in 100, 200 yards.
And that's really operator error. So Chris is advising, really slow down, pay attention to what's going on, making sure your machines are prepped, everything is sharp and free, and you're examining that combine as you go through. One of the conversations Chris and I were having last night about, as we move forward in the U.S. and other parts of the world, and what would be your advice to a producer who's coming in industrial hemp has not been grown in an area, they have not known varieties and how they're impacting. What is an advice to a producer group? Let's say, what would be one of the first things that you would suggest?
I would suggest that don't go all in. Grow if you're what size of acre farmer you're at. If you're a 2,000 acre farmer, just get into it as opposed to your level of farming. Don't grow a 30-year production into hemp. Grow a quarter, grow 80 acres, grow 50 acres, grow 20 acres. Get a feel for it. Get your harvesting equipment ready, and that way maybe possibly down the road you can get into a bit of a situation. Don't go all in. Do not consume a lot of your acres into hemp right off the bat. Make sure you have your processing up to snuff. Make sure your food development companies are there. Make sure the bills are paid. Feel comfortable growing hemp. Go in nice and slow. Ease yourself in the situation, and then maybe you can think about a third of your production into hemp. But for me, I'd rather see a lot of farmers growing little acres of hemp as opposed to less farmers growing a lot of acres of hemp. It's just spreading your risk for the farmers, and you're spreading your risk for food development companies and processes also.
Yeah, so it's, again, we're here talking about, farmers talking about, minimizing risk to increase your farm gate in the long run. So, Chris, we've got a few minutes here. We have a couple minutes left. What would be a typical rotation that you would use and advise?
As far as hemp concerned, it's good rotation, especially if you have a good catch. It could work the other way. If you have a rough season where you get high moisture, cold temperatures off the start, you could dirty up a field with hemp. Same as any of the commodity, basically. If you have the conditions, you're going to do a good job. You can run hemp off any commodity, really. With the way things work these days, it doesn't even matter what you're doing. Lots of guys want to see it off canola. Basically, what it comes down to in the end is if you're putting hemp in a post-wheat commodity the year previous, what you want not to see is wheat volunteer or any type of cereal volunteer in that hemp. Most companies are gluten-free. They do not want cereal or any part of that situation in their sample, so you got to watch it. The good thing with that is if you do come off a wheat commodity the year previous, the wheat will go short, the hemp obviously goes tall. Pick up your header, don't go for that extra, maybe half a pound at the bottom of the plant to pick up while you're taking in probably, maybe a 4-bushel wheat crop at the bottom. Pick up that header, take hemp only inside your header, because when it comes down to it, your sample is most important at the end of the day. You want to get people, most facilities, most companies do not want to see the cereal crop in your sample. Canola is easy seen out of wheat. Canola is easy seen out of hemp. Wheat is very difficult seen out of hemp, so you got to be careful with that.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Chris for his time this morning, and thank all the Parkland Industrial Hemp Growers and the Federowich Farms for all their efforts and continuing to educate people around the world about the cultivation of industrial hemp and developing these varieties that, we will be looking in the United States to, work with the Parkland Industrial Hemp Growers on, introduction of those varieties into the United States. So, Chris, I'd like to thank you for your time this morning.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, Casper, do we have Paul on the line now?
We do. Paul Stanford, aren't you there?
I've been here all along since the start of the show.
Excellent.
Steve Levine is here, too. Hi, Paul. Anndrea.
Hi,
Casper.
Steve. How are you doing this morning?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing very good.
Cool.
So next on our agenda this morning is Steve Levine with the Hemp Industry Associations, and Steve Levine is the ex-president of the Hemp Association and still sits on our board, and he has been involved in the Hemp Industry Association since 1997, and in 1999 he produced the first of 9 annual hemp festivals, and in 2000 the Santa Barbara Hemp Company, which he produced radio shows, Steve has been a longtime activist, and while retiring after 9 years as the president of MHIA, he's continuing to be on our board. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as you know, I also serve on the board of Vote Hemp, which is the nonprofit industrial hemp lobby group. The Hemp Industry Association, known as HIA, is also a nonprofit industrial hemp group, but we're a trade organization. So we represent businesses, industrial hemp businesses and farmers and researchers, and we have about 300 members. And we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary this November in Washington, D.C., where we're having our annual convention at the Phoenix Hotel. So if you guys want to go to our website, hempindustries.org, and get some information and consider attending. And feel free to get a hold of me, steve@thehia.org, for any questions you may have about industrial hemp.
All right. Well, Steve, a little bit of light for us on what the current status of industrial hemp is in the U.S. Can you talk about, our federal bills, the Farm Bill, and what's happening with some of the state laws?
Right. Well, there's actually about 20 states that have passed legislation of some sort. 9 states have actually legalized it, most notably and most recently Colorado and Washington. We have a federal bill in the House of Representatives, H.R. 525, as well as the Senate bill. I am also working on a bill here in California, SB 566, which is a Senate bill that is so far has had no opposition. So we're very encouraged by the action in Washington and Colorado, and hope to have California follow up shortly. We've had no major opposition, and other states have made great progress as well. Besides Colorado and Washington, Kentucky has been amazing, and we're getting strong support from their very conservative U.S. senators, Rand Paul, Mitch McConnell. Even House Speaker John Boehner supports the hemp farm bill, which recently was added. The hemp farming bill. The legalized hemp farming bill was attached to the National Farm Bill. The hemp amendment passed, but the farm bill actually lost in the House. There was a problem with the food stamp initiative, and the conservative faction of the Republican Party didn't want to vote for the farm bill with that bill intact. So we are still moving forward, though. We got 225 congressional votes to pass the amendment to the farm bill. So we're very encouraged. We have, like I had mentioned, many states that have legalized hemp farming and waiting on permission from the federal government, as always, to allow the states to grow hemp. This has been the situation in the past, but we're a little more encouraged now because there's been a climate change in attitudes about cannabis. I don't know what happened, but we are at a tipping point now. We're not only with industrial hemp, but in all things cannabis.
All right, well, and I was seeing one of the press releases coming out stating that we now have 11% of the House are co-sponsors of the Industrial Hemp Farming Act, and that 53% voted pro for the amendment to the Farm Bill. So that really shows that we're starting to gain some ground. So now we just need to change 11% to the 53%. So if we want to make that change, what kind of action can a person take in the United States to be able to contact their congressional person to encourage them to become a co-sponsor?
Right. Well, the easiest way would be just to go to votehemp.com. And Vote Hemp, as I mentioned, is our lobbying arm to legalize hemp farming. So if you go to votehemp.com, plug in your zip code, and it will kick back all of your representatives from local to state to federal. So that way you can reach out to your U.S. senators and U.S. congressmen, as well as your state representatives and local. And that would be the best way. You go to votehemp.com, you find out who represents you, and then you get in touch with those representatives by email, by phone, by visit. There's nothing better than going to the office of your state representative or your federal representative and meeting with the staff or maybe the representative himself, and then follow up with phone calls. One-to-one contact, finding a person in the office of your state rep to call and to ask questions and to solicit support is critical. It's a personal thing. It's politics.
Well,
and politics is people.
Steve, I have a question, please.
Sure.
If you were speaking before Congress or the Senate, I'm sure one of them is going to ask you straight up, why is this particular plant so valuable? Why can we not grow all the other plants and create all the other products that we keep talking about from all the other plants that are out there on the market today? Why is it that this plant is so specifically important to the farm community? I mean, seriously, we can create fuel out of varieties of plants. We can create clothing out of cotton. I mean, surely there's got to be an answer to that.
Well, I mean, of course, there's the whole confusion or misrepresentation or misspeaking about what cannabis is, because there's definitely different kinds of cannabis. But generally, we're talking about high THC and no THC, and industrial hemp has no THC. The problem here is that we cannot grow the plant. Everything about all the products, our industrial hemp products, are legal in the United States. Everything is legal but the plant. So, in other words, it would be like outlawing poppy seed bagels being cooked in the United States, but we can import the bagels from Canada. They'll be 3 times more expensive and they'll be stale, but it's legal. But the plant itself is not legal to grow. So this is our main problem. Why poppy seed muffins and bagels are legal, but industrial hemp food is controversial? It's silly. So right now, with the progress we've been making on the political stage, state and federal, we're hoping that by next year things will change. Colorado will be growing a crop next year. There's some farming going on now. I'm not a little unclear about that. Anndrea may be more in tune with that than I am. But we are making incredible progress. We got 225 votes. Like Anndrea mentioned, we got 53% of the House of Representative votes getting the hemp farm bill attached to the National Farm Bill. 225 out of the 435 members of the House of Representatives is huge, very huge. And we are very close to actually legalizing all things cannabis. And I'm looking forward to that. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Apparently, we're going to be able to create a huge job base, not just in America, but around the world. Will this have an impact on Wall Street? Will it take the need for Wall Street out of the equation? Will it create more of a cottage industry, not just in our own backyard, but globally?
That's a big question with a lot of speculation required that I am not qualified to answer. I mean, yeah, to replace Wall Street, I don't know about that. But will it be a big time industry? Yes, I totally believe it will be. As we move forward, we need alternative forms of energy. And this is one of the potential values of industrial hemp, is creating hemp fuel. We're actually a long ways off from it. But it is a possibility, and hopefully within the next few years, we can add fuel to the many important uses of hemp, including building materials and food and clothing, paper, etc.
All right, so Steve, can you just share with us quickly? We have a few minutes here left for this segment. Can you talk to us just briefly and tell us how people can become involved in Hemp History Week?
Yes.
I was asking some questions about, what the market looks like. Can you give us an idea of what the retail sales are? And then before we leave today, I definitely want you to hit on a couple of the speakers that will be at the Hemp Industry Association's conference coming up in November. So brief us on Hemp History Week, annual sales, and talk about the conference coming up in November.
Well, the conference in November is the 17th and 18th. And the 17th will be the Sunday, and it'll be our annual general meeting day. That's when we'll have the speakers, and that's when the membership will meet. And then on Monday, the 17th, the 18th, which also happens to be my birthday, is Lobby Day. And we're going to get the membership a little training in the morning on the 18th, and then we're going to march down with 5 or 6 or 7 dozen people to Congress and lobby for industrial hemp. We actually have bills in the House of Representatives and in the Senate that we can lobby for. So hopefully we'll be able to make a dent in that and lead the way for 2014 to actually be growing hemp in the U.S. So
part of that has been, building up to our conference. We've just ended the 4th annual Hemp History Week. Steve, what's Hemp History Week all about?
Well, Hemp History Week is an annual education and promotional hemp awareness project that we just finished our 4th annual one in June. And we have a major presence. Whole Foods is involved, Nature's Path, Dr. Bronner's, Nutiva, the 2 big hemp Canadian hemp companies, Hemp Oil Canada, Manitoba Harvest, and other hemp companies sponsor this national program that is done. We do about 1,000 events during Hemp History Week, and different activists in different parts of the country take the lead on these events. Whole Foods is the major player. They do about 500 events, and then we do another 500 or so events throughout the country. Best thing to do is to go to online, hemphistoryweek.com, hemphistoryweek.com.
All right.
That will get you all the information you need to get started and start planning for next year, which we've already begun.
All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time today, and we really appreciate all the efforts of the Hemp Industry Associations, Vote Hemp, and the Hemp History Week team, all of your members, and we'll look forward. As everybody knows, I'm the president of the association, so on behalf of myself and Steve, we're really looking forward to having everybody come to the conference in November and join us on our lobby day so that we can make this personal contact that Steve talked about how important that is. So thank you so much. Steve Levine, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Anndrea, and everybody, Casper, Paul, love you guys. Take care.
All right. So, Summer, are you on the line there?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Summer. How are you doing today?
I'm good. And hello, American Freedom Radio, Paul and Casper. Great to be on with you guys.
Why don't you let people know who you are, Summer, and your background?
Sure. Well, I'm Summer Star Haeske. I've got Enviro Textiles with my mother, Barbara Philippone. Long story short, I've pretty much grown up with hemp. My mother's been traveling the world making the hemp fabrics you see on today's marketplace. I was 10 years old sitting in Colorado State Senate hearings way back when. Back then we kind of were going, hey, hemp's good, it's great, let us grow it. And, we even got far enough to where we only lost by 1 vote all those years ago. And, of course, today we've got a whole lot of great, credible information and more amazing products to really push it through. Enviro Textiles is a textile fabric supplier. So we stock over 100 various hemp fabrics in the U.S. To really give a good variety to brands wanting to implement hemp into their line. So we've got everything from 100% hemps to various blends and every weight and weave and color you could think of now. We do supplying to the brands that are out there making the hemp products. And of course, those brands are what are so important to be out in the public pushing, the products that we're really wanting to see people finally get to take advantage of and enjoy and create better health for themselves.
That's great. Well, thanks so much. So all the work that you and your mother have done throughout time to really put, hemp on people's backs and, pimping out rides and from the couture line to the very simple, plain, basic T-shirt. So we're really thankful to have you and your mother part of the industry. Now, Paul, did you have any questions for Summer?
What do you think the impact of Colorado's changing environment is? Are you involved in any attempts to establish hemp cultivation there in Colorado?
Well, absolutely. We're really excited over here in Colorado. As many of the listeners know, Colorado's been pushing forward pretty quickly. And, the biggest thing that we've really seen and some things that have surprised us out here in Colorado is really the farmers' reactions. That's the most important supporters that we need right now to get hemp for industry back in the U.S. is knowing we've got the farmers to grow it, first of all. And there's some areas of the state that may be a bit more conservative than others that we thought, okay, it's going to be more of a push and let's get out the best of the best to show them what can be done. And we found that they were actually calling us going, hey, we realize we need this. We have a lot of issues in Colorado with how dry our climate is and being able to have these drought resistant crops. A fourth generation farmer gal on the Western Slope I talked to recently said, we're losing all our fruit to the late freezes in the spring and then everything else to the droughts in the summer. And we have nothing left. We need this or there will be no future family farm here. So, that's been a huge thing in Colorado is knowing we're going to have the farmers support that's going to help show our state government and hopefully, our full federal government that, this is really needed and it's needed for our farmers, it's needed for our workers, and it's needed for healthy products for us. And on top of the ability to maybe get back on this global exchange and be part of this whole hemp network. The U.S. has become the largest consumer of hemp-based products, and it's time we get our hands in on those first steps and maybe supply other countries with the hemp that we're going to be able to grow.
All right. So, in talking about the growing of it, what part of the plant, for those that are out there that don't know, what part of the plant goes into the textiles? Now, Chris spoke earlier about, grain production into food. What part of the plant goes into the fiber production?
Well, of course, hemp grows like a big stalk, and of course, the seed's coming off the top, and the stalk is what's holding our fiber. Now, there's a outer ribbon of that stalk, so it's almost like almost any kind of a twig. If you were to snap it in half and pull it, you almost see that outer core that kind of creates its own little strip of sorts. And that ribbon is where the textile grade fiber is coming from in that particular strain. And of course, it then has to go through combing to then grade out the various fiber lengths. That's something that comes up an awful lot is, why are hemp fabrics so much stronger than other natural fibers? That's something we all rave about, is that this hemp product's going to last forever for you, besides it being healthy and cool. And, the best explanation to that for people is, if you imagine that hemp fiber coming out of the ribbon, and that can be 8 to 18 inches long, that fiber. So it's like a hair. You've got this long hair where a cotton fiber is anywhere from a 1/2 inch to 2 inches long. So when you're spinning those little hair fibers into a yarn that's going to then go into making a fabric, imagine all that extra length of the fiber all spinning together. And that's where our durability is coming in, is we've got these long, amazing hemp fibers that I like to say is like angel hair, because it really does look like it. And that's what's creating these extra long spins in the yarns that are holding them together like no other fiber can. So, that ribbon is really the least amount of usage in the hemp plant. So when we're looking at the whole hemp plant, there's only approximately 13% of that stalk that's actually ribbon that goes to fiber. So within that 13%, you can imagine, a quarter of that is the longest grade A type fibers, and it gets shorter down to those 8 inches.
So that is the bast fiber, much akin to bark. It's the outer fiber that's the longest and strongest plant fiber. Now, I know there's one fellow who says he's going to cultivate 60 acres of hemp. Have you had any contact with that farmer?
That would be our Ryan Laughlin here in Colorado. He is growing as we speak. He's really excited to kind of pave the way and show the proof of concept that, yes, it can be done, and we're doing it. And I'm actually honored to be holding a discussion group with Ryan here in a couple of weeks. Colorado's having their first Arise Music Festival, which is bringing some amazing speakers and workshops, and really trying to unite the like minds and bringing people together here in Colorado to help lead the way and bring people together and form a solid green army as we move forth, in other words. And it's going to be quite the event. They've actually signed a 7-year contract with an amazing organic farm that I have to say I was really surprised to hear these guys went for it, because this place hasn't allowed anything to touch the soils for over 30 years. But they're going, you know what? We're all facing a time where we need to come together and whatever it takes, pretty much. So we're really excited about that coming up here in Colorado soon as well.
Yeah, and everybody will definitely wanting to stop by the EnviroTextile booth, because Summer puts on an amazing booth. She does amazing fashion shows. Now, Summer, one of the things that I think are, a question that we're going to have is, all right, once we have, and we will, once we're growing and cultivating industrial hemp in the United States, do we have facilities in the United States that can transform hemp and take this bast fiber, these ribbons that you described to us, and make that into clothing? Do those facilities exist? And if they do, can you talk a little bit about how EnviroTextiles is participating in that?
Well, it's unfortunate that back during the Great Depression, our nation lost its natural fiber textile industry. Those old factories were selling off their equipment for pennies on the dollar, and many of them pulled overseas. Now, we do have some capabilities here in the U.S. For example, we are spinning hemp yarns right here in Colorado right now. We've done spinning and weaving at various facilities throughout the Carolinas and the southern states of the U.S. So we can produce the end product. What the problem is right now is that we can't actually take that ribbon and bring it to the fiber grade that needs to then get spun and woven. So we are missing some parts of that puzzle, those first few pieces, and it's really not going to require too much. Now, obviously, when we look at global positioning of hemp right now, China is known for textiles, always has, and likely always will be. They've got amazing state-of-the-art facilities, and if we were to try to match that, it would be approximately $150 million facility to have the capabilities to do what we do overseas. Now, we have to think about that and go, okay, is that the direction we want to go in? Of course, myself would love to see hemp fabric made in the U.S., but we also have to be realistic on, are we going to see that support to build a facility of that sort? And also, would it be the smart move for the U.S.? Because are we going to be able to compete with a country like China, where there's so many products still needed on the global marketplace that might be a little bit more wiser to begin with? It might just be a little premature to go initially right into let's make hemp fabric in the U.S. And I think something a lot of us have all been talking about is, what strain's going to grow in the U.S. And it seems that it only makes sense, and that we have some advantages and support from our neighbors up there to initially start with that hemp seed strain. And if that's the case, of course, that ribbon from that strain is not going to be a textile grade to develop the type of fabrics that we're offering on today's marketplace. It would be more of a jute, like what we remember from way back in the day, and they'd have to be hand loomed on particular mechanical machines. And, you know, it's definitely possible, and it would be a novelty item. I'm sure there would be a small buyer base, but I think that all of us in the U.S. really want to see the U.S. go forward with a very strong industry base here.
Okay, Summer, we only have a few more minutes, but I think it's one of the amazing things that EnviroTextiles has done as recently is that you've become bio-preferred. Can you please tell us a little bit about bio-preferred and, you know, what that means with the bio-preferred program?
Absolutely. You know, everybody knows the USDA has been certifying foods organic for a very long time now, and they have also realize they need to start certifying everything else. There are mandates being implemented stating we've got to start having healthier products. Maybe not so much because they're realizing the health of the people so much as what it's doing to the environment and taking away resources and things like that, or posing as a problem with, contamination, what have you. There's so many things with these chemical companies and these products that are, you know, putting in all this junk for us that people are starting to realize we have to make change. So the USDA has created what's called their bio-preferred program. And what that is certifying everything under the sun, and they're literally going down to the percentage of bio-based material within that product, which is very similar to our SBP program, which was modeled together. I mean, you have to really start thinking about the full transparency of your product. You know, if one thing in it is good, great, but then you find out later that it took formaldehyde in this big chemical bath to make it happen, and ultimately that finished product is no longer that natural, let alone healthy for you, and then they're claiming that it can be. So, you know, it's really incredible to see the support from the USDA. They've implemented this program that is affordable for everyone. So farmers can certify to stay-at-home moms with little sewing co-ops in their communities. I mean, everyone can get involved. It's not a third party, you know, let's charge you a fortune. And we're really not getting down to the nitty gritty on what's the life cycle or the transparency. It's only usually covering one piece of the whole puzzle. And now we really get to see what our products are made from. And, you know, our U.S. labeling department is what really kind of needs to be cracked down on, because it's not fair for us to not know what's in our products. And so programs like this are letting us know. And I encourage anyone out there with the company to go on to biopreferred.gov and check that program out, apply for it. This is kind of going to give us the push into, being able to fill government contracts, getting more and more support from the different government programs and agencies that are utilizing those products. Some of those agencies are becoming mandatory that they must use those products. And out of those products, they have to go with whoever has the highest bio-based percentage. So, of course, us hemp folks are on top. And we're seeing the support.
Great. That's so great, Summer. Well, thank you so much for your time. And please, everybody, take some time today to go over to EnviroTextiles and look at the fashion show pictures. Look at what they've got going on at their project in Mexico. They definitely do some great work. So thank you so much, Summer.
Thank you all, and thank you all to the listeners, and please be sure to write in and start discussion with your friends, your neighbors, your family. It's so important that people know what's going on, and now's the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And moving right along, our next panelist is who?
I'd like to welcome Teri Wallace with Hemp Out and Hemp and Grain Canada. So, Teri, why don't you just kick off and tell us a little bit about what Hemp Out and Hemp and Grain Canada is all about?
Okay. Well, thank you for having me and inviting me, Anndrea. It's a real privilege and pleasure. Basically, Hemp Out movement was started about 4 years ago by myself and about 8 savvy women across North America. Hemp Out itself is really about a social movement in support of the hemp culture. So we simply educate, we promote, we market, we socially engage with the consumers online, offline, about all things hemp. So really what we did is we tagged it Hemp Out. The purpose was simply to educate the masses on hemp. So, I mean, we all know, hemp itself is so misunderstood, and alongside its illicit cousin, cannabis, right? So yet Hemp Out really felt a strong alliance and come together as women to collectively just bring more education to the masses. I mean, we all know that hemp is so versatile. It feeds the planet. It supports the sustainability. We saw that there was a social movement. It's got the cool factor. We really pride ourselves in being socially engaging on the social media sphere. We see food landscape changing, so we really are about educating and connecting with the consumers, watching the food trends in the marketplace and merchandising. And the girls do a great job on blogging and socially connecting with a lot of the like minds out there in the hemp and the cannabis culture, really just to show that there's a huge force and people just need to be educated. And, so that's where it came from. A bunch of girls, and it started about 4 years ago, and we've been active ever since and enjoying it and seeing what's happening. So that's where we started, Anndrea, and that's we continue to support the entire industry, both hemp and the cannabis culture.
And so, Teri, I mean, I know you have such a diverse background from, publishing, design, marketing, business administration, but also some of the things, is that you're a certified sports nutritionist. You also have your CC in H with a natural health holistic nutrition degree. We have a lot of background, not just talking about, how can we market this and put this out there in our social media world, but when it comes to actually what hemp does in your body. And so can you this a little bit, about what the role of Hemp Grain Canada is and how that message comes across when you're talking about that, looking at the market forces when it comes to hemp foods, when focusing on the nutrition side?
Absolutely. I mean, our corporation came to life in about 4 years ago, and the corporation is Hemp and Grain Canada. I mean, what that is a devoted team of brokers, and we have an infrastructure to provide a source and service in North America, and we do particularly specialize in the hemp ingredient. And now we're working with the Canadian agriculture on the grain. So basically what we do, it's a group of us, and we all come from backgrounds, nutrition. We got clinical nutritionalists, sport nutrition. We got a food alchemist. We've got researchers, and we work towards marketing, direct selling, branding, a lot of technical support in-house to produce, private label products. Our motto is, from seed to sale, we first and foremost support the farmers. We pride ourselves in the vertical integration relationship between us, the farmer, and the consumer. So all in all, it's really a lot of our team, we kind of act more, not so much as brokers, but project managers with every project. And a lot of our business is really around the food industry. So we work together, and we really help people put food onto the market with our consulting team. and all of our nutritional information, and we deal direct with, the Canadian agriculture. More importantly is all the hemp that we've been working with for the past 4 years, and it's been a lot of fun, and we see a lot of things opening up. I mean, when you talk about the major market forces, Anndrea, when it comes to hemp foods, I mean, I truly believe it's today's conscious consumer that's, they're more informed now than ever. And I mean, part of my background is an extensive internet background. I mean, we started seeing the internet make huge changes in the industry and how the world is shifting through the internet, and globally and organically the messages are spreading like wildfire. So, I mean, when you look at the market force, it's people are waking up. The world's shifting, it's transforming. Food landscape in general is more important now than ever. I mean, we have health issues such as celiac, diabetes. We've got chemical and environmental toxins, flooding the environment. There is, more regulations for growers now, more for food manufacturing, putting hemp-related food out on the marketplace. I mean, for anybody wanting to put that out, it's a daunting process to put, a food product out, let alone hemp.
So go ahead. You're talking now about. So if I come to you and I say, I want to start my own hemp brand, what would be your suggestion if I say, I really like eating hulled hemp seed. I've introduced it to some of my friends. They like it. I think I want to go in and start selling this and retailing this. Can you give us just a few steps on how somebody might get that started?
Absolutely. And that's a big part of what we do. I mean, it's becoming almost mainstream. These strong brands that are up and coming are becoming very competitive. I mean, we're in a world of the me culture, so a lot of private brandings are in the heat of the market and business strategy in today's business. I mean, if you Googled hemp, you're going to see very quickly this super incredible plant can produce over 30,000 different products. So, I mean, getting to your question, first and foremost, I will always say, I hope that there is a business plan, because with no plan, that's failure right there, right? And part of it is the marketing plan. Understand, it's not just to purchase the hemp seed. There's a lot of regulations. So when I work with people and the people in the office, when we're supporting this inquiry for branding the hemp, we need to really understand that there's a lot of compliances that need to take place before you can put a product on the shelf. So the first thing is do your business plan, the marketing plan. You probably have an idea or a design concept. Identify what food particularly you want to put out. Like hemp seed can produce, you can put hemp seeds out, protein or hemp oil. So identifying that. Identify your budget, do your research, find out your source providers, your hemp wholesalers, do your homework, get involved, understand there's a lot of the alliances, the HIA, the CHTA. Those groups are there to help and support and educate, and those are important tools for anybody to help identify where they're going and how they want to put a brand and really understand what the involvement of hemp is. And I mean, the first thing is just understanding the budget, your marketing plan, who's your target market, and then we can look at, services that we can help you with. We can consult with you. We can help you with the labeling, and you've got to comply with the Health Canadas out there and understand that it's not just putting hemp seed into a bag and putting it out there. There's a lot of things that is required. So that's part of what we do at the Hemp Out Agency, as well as other great leaders like Hemp Oil Canada. I mean, we're doing a lot of good things for private brands, and really because hemp is growing. It's got the cool factor. It's going on, right?
And so you're bringing out a really good point about, this collaboration that's happening within the industry. So you've got all of these, the companies are really working together to promote their brand, but then they're also not just promoting their own brand. I think what we're seeing within the hemp industry is everybody's helping to promote all of our brands, because we know that if you're successful at Hemp Out, another brand could be successful because you're going to reach somebody and they're going to buy on one retail shop and another retail shop. So that collaboration is really great. Now, Teri, we have a few minutes here. So can you tell me what, does Hemp House have some fun and exciting projects that are coming up that we should be staying tuned to?
Thank you. We do. We're actually right now ready to roll out a raw hemp seed bag. Now, we never looked at hemp out as a brand. In fact, the whole launching of this 1 pound organic bag is actually showcasing the farmer first. So what it is, it's basically a universal bag, if you will, that's really featuring hemp out as the runner to help become a social voice. So, we always want to praise the farmer. We love the seed and the planet. So we wanted to bring the transparency back to the consumer by showcasing the farmer and allowing our retailer to utilize our design concept. We will be doing some custom branding for the retailer. Again, Hemp Out is not the brand. It's to support the social movement. So we're actually going to be rolling out with that in the fall and supporting our retailers that choose to do their custom brand. It helps them advertise. We help them. They help us. And overall, it's to get the seeds out there, spread the hemp seed, spread the love, get more people trying, tasting, touching this beautiful seed. The other thing is we're working with some key people in the film industry that are working on some really good documentaries. They're trying to bridge, North America and Canadian agriculture together. And so Hemp Out has been asked to, be part of that as a social media marketing direction to help showcase these documentaries that are hemp related. And so we're excited. There's a lot of great things coming out in the social media. And those are the big things that are up and coming for us.
I'd like to jump
in. Yeah, go ahead, please.
And say thank you to American Freedom Radio for giving us these 2 hours of uninterrupted time to express to the world the importance of taking time for hemp. Send my love to the people who are behind bars and let them know that one of the reasons why we are doing this is because we want them to know that they are not forgotten. This is the halfway point of the first segment. Part 2 is, of course, easily found in iTunes and at the timeforhemp.com website. And I would encourage you to share it with your friends. Make it a point to find it and listen to it. And we're going to close out this hour right now with our theme song by Hannah's Groove here on Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, the money that they've spent. Take another look and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper 'cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, well, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison our soil. The plastic made from the resin of hemp is far more durable than the steel we've bent.
It's the biodegradable alternative to the toxic petrochemical derivative.
So I think it's time to form a new industry.
Help heal the planet with a plant you see.
Like Tommy J said, it's the first necessity.
So grind it and combine it with the food we eat.
So many different ways it can lift us up.
Free hemp planet and refuse to corrupt. Free hemp planet and refuse to corrupt. Free hemp planet and refuse to corrupt. What's up?